Hello, league members. Welcome to the league Q&A. About a week ago, we sent out a form requesting questions of all of you so we can talk to some of our management staff at Modern Times. I know many of you have questions about the future of the brewery and even where things currently stand now. So we brought together this fine group of people to answer all those for you. To kick things off, I would like to introduce everyone. Let's start off with Jennifer Briggs. I can't say your name apparently. Jennifer Briggs.
You nailed it.
Jennifer. Yes, so hello everyone, nice to meet you. I am Jennifer Briggs. You can call me Jen. I'm sorry I haven't been able to meet a lot of you all. I did get to meet some of you in Oakland and in Portland, and I hope that, you know, this summer that I'll have a chance to run into more of you as I make the rounds to our locations.
Ellie?
Hi, I'm Ellie Kovara. I'm our current Director of Hospitality. I've been in this position since about November of 2021. Before that, I acted as Chief of Staff for Hospitality as well, and some of you may recognize me from my days of GMing the dojo. I've been with this company for 4 years as of this month also.
Dani Jackson?
Hi, Dani Jackson. I'm VP of Sales. I have been with the company for 5 years. I started as the sales wizard in Arizona, and then began ASM for the Central Southwest region. And most recently, I was made interim director of sales in October, and did that for a while. Then Jen made it official VP of Sales in January.
The world famous Leanne O'Neill.
Hi there, my name is Leanne. I have been with the company for just shy of 4 years, and I have always been overseeing the league.
Daniel Reed, otherwise known as Dan Reed.
Dan Reed, yes, that is me. I'm the Director of Marketing here. I've been with the company for a little over 6 years now, doing marketing and communications. Stepped into this role in March of last year. And now here I am. Hello.
And last but not least, Andrew Schwartz.
Nice. Thanks, Stephen. I'm Innovation and Product Development Manager here at Modern Times. And I've been here for 8 years. And I am help run the beer program here at Modern Times and work with all these fine folks regularly to make sure that all the beer is released in a fun and joyful way. So excited to answer some of these questions.
8 years, almost a whole decade. Hell yeah, Andrew. All right, well, we'll kick things off right away, dive into some questions. I will be reading off the questions to everyone and in proper form. I'm going to read a question for myself first. So there was a question that said, if there are pickup parties in other cities for members, will they be continued for the 2023 membership, or will all pickups continue to be in SoCal after this year? I guess what I'm asking is, after this year, will pickups go back to being the OG way? So currently we are working on doing pickup parties in cities of locations that were closed down. And I would say for 2023, right now we're more focused on actually getting those pickup parties running for 2022. But if they end up being a good financially viable source that members like, then yes, we would continue them into 2023. The next question here will be for Jen. So Jen, how were MT's financials not reconciled until it was nearly too late and had to emergency close 4 locations? How long was the financial situation this dire? Was this a failure of past management, perhaps?
Well, let me say it first wasn't really a situation of financials being reconciled or not. If we look back over the course of 2021, Modern Times has faced a lot of adversities. So first in January and February was the coronavirus. So we had not only shutdowns of our own owned premise, but also the on-premise for wholesale was severely disrupted. Then if we move forward into the summer and fall time, we had a situation where we lost some placements with one of our major chain accounts that was pretty tough. We had that happen. We also had some turnover from, well, I do want to say, like, most of the people that you're meeting are new management. Virtually all of the old management and definitely anyone that we referred to as a C-suite is gone. So that happened in the summertime as well too. And then of course the return of COVID that happened in November, December, and January. And all along, you know, the work that Ellie and her team have been doing to deal with absences just from sicknesses. So we had a lot of really hard things happen throughout the year, and it really did affect our sales. And so, as any of you can see from the financials that we post on the website, we won't go through those, but we did have a particular strategy that was about growing our own on-premise. We took out a lot of debt, and then when you don't have the revenue to cover that debt, it makes it really hard. And so in particular, the last few months with the return of COVID and staffing, it just, a lot of things were hitting us all at the same time. And so we knew that it was tight. We knew that the company was in a different level of financial distress, but it just continued to get worse. And as far as if it's a failure of past management, I don't really want to play Monday morning quarterback. I think they had a strategy at a particular moment of time, and it was, you know, who could have predicted the pandemic and the effects that it had? But, you know, the strategy of the company was to grow, and took on a lot of debt to grow and add new places. And that's what they chose. And a lot of other companies chose that as well too. We're not the only one having these problems. There's a lot of restaurants that have gone through this challenge. So, you know, should they have foreseen a pandemic? I don't think so. You know, was that the right strategy for the company? I don't really feel like it's my place to do that. What my place is to try to move the company forward, to try to get us to a place where we can have great experiences, to have a brand, and to give Modern Time a future life and a next chapter. So I really just worry about the future and try really hard not to go back and question the past strategies.
Awesome. The next question is for Dan Reed on the marketing end. Dan, did taking an active political stance have a net negative, positive, or neutral effect on sales?
I think it would be pretty impossible to answer that with any real certainty. The last 2+ years obviously have been just unprecedented landscapes in the retail space, you know, with the pandemic. So, you know, parsing the data to figure out how much of the hit that we've taken has been from the pandemic and how much of it has been from political stance or any type of activism would be incredibly difficult to say. You know, what I can say is in the past, in pre-pandemic conditions, when we've taken stances on things, it has only affected us in a positive way. Our core audience has been overwhelmingly supportive over the years of the stances we've taken. And, you know, while we do see a lot of negative pushback on social media and things like that, the majority of that is from outside groups who aren't Modern Times customers in the first place. You know, the other thing that I can say to be as transparent as we can be is that I don't think it's taking a stance that negatively impacts your business. I think it's when the values that you're espousing aren't backed up by your workplace culture that you end up getting hurt. And that's something that we always, you know, were mindful of, and that we knew was a legitimate problem for us in the past years. You know, working on having our workplace culture and our employee culture match the stances that we take externally was something that we were working on and falling short on, frankly, for a few years. And a lot of us were actively working towards those goals, you know, before it was highlighted in a very, you know, necessary and also dramatic way by the Rat Magnet posts in May. So, you know, that definitely hurt us. But as to how much comparatively to the rest of the collective shitstorm that has been the last 3 years, it's hard to say.
Awesome. Jen, the next 2 questions are for you, and they are related actually, so I'll combine them. So what, if any, criteria do you have for a potential buyer/investor? And on top of that point, will employees retain part ownership in the event of a buyout?
Well, let me take the employee ownership one. So the ESOP is a trust. It is one of the owners of the company. And how that works, it's too early to say. Really, if it's retained or not, that is something that's in the eyes of a buyer. I just don't know. We don't have a buyer right now, so I can't I really don't know. And it's really up to those companies how they handle that in a transaction. In any criteria for a potential buyer investor, what we're trying to do, obviously, because I said this publicly, is we're trying to run a really methodical, solid process to make sure that we understand the value of the company and how people perceive our values as our value as a company. So we're just trying to run a process with a lot of integrity. So we're not limiting the criteria at all at this point. If somebody wants to, sign the NDAs and do that, that's absolutely fine. But they need to be real interested parties who want to really be involved in a process. But we're not limiting anything at this point. We just really want to understand the value of this business.
Cool. Next one is for you, Ellie. Will the company potentially reopen the closed locations, or are they permanently closed?
Those locations are permanently closed. We have fully vacated them, but we have a ton to look forward to at the properties that remain in Orange County and San Diego. We really have the opportunity to reinvest in those spaces, especially to drive guest experiences, primarily for all of you folks. And we have our hands full doing that. So this is really an opportunity to, like I said, reinvest. And if we were to ever expand again in the future, it would be out of an excess of prosperity and into a very pointed market. But again, our goal is still being small and strong.
Okay, the next question is for you, Andrew. So with Portland shutting down, will there be less beer in the league sales every month? And with shifting the focus on distribution to the Southwest, is this referring to the sleeve cans and less special project / league only beers?
Yeah, so the first question there, Portland shutting down, yeah, that will definitely affect what beers we're releasing out of that facility, since it doesn't exist anymore. So we won't have barrel-aged beer coming out of Portland, but we will continue to have all the barrel-aged beer that we planned on releasing this year being released this year. So all the barrel-aged beer out of San Diego that we plan to release will be released. We did slow down our sleeved can kind of one-off release schedule for the first few months of this change. So we'll see what that looks like. But we still have the opportunity of doing that in Anaheim and in San Diego. So you'll see this next release will have some Portland beers in it still from the last batches that they released. And then in the next one, we'll have the San Diego beers that were brewed. And we're trying to continue to figure out how to release more beers, or just basically figure out what we want these sales to look like. Right now, our main focus is the barrel-aged stouts and sours and special releases like that. But we'll continue to play around with what those special one-off cans look like. So, onto the second part of that question. With the shifting focus on distribution to the Southwest, we have enough capacity to focus our distribution footprint on the Southwest and those markets that we're trying to commit to, and do our special projects beers. The special projects beers and the league only beers, or the league available beers, are priorities. They're exciting to us. They make it really fun to come into the tasting room and try one-off things. But they go hand in hand with making sure that we can still release distribution beers. So I don't see too much of a change there, a slight downsizing, but should be good. Yeah.
Jen, back to you again. Is the league even a priority for the new CEO?
It is. I don't know who all will watch this, but I have been able to meet some league members and I really enjoy it. And I know, we appreciate the passion that the league has for our company. We appreciate just the loyalty that people have given to us. And that's been really energizing for me on all of that. So I think that's good. And then sometimes whenever you have a change, it's an opportunity to look at continual improvement. And so that's something that we'll be looking at, like, should it change things? You know, we want to make sure that we live our values through the league as well too. So we'll see what the future has to hold, but what the future does hold is the continuance of the league.
All right, Jen, the next question is a classic interview question. What is your 1-year plan and 5-year plan for this company?
Well, the 1-year plan right now is to get us to a place of financial stability. So that's something that I think about all the time, is stability with jobs, stability for the company, making sure that every morning I wake up and wonder where cans are. So that's, you know, our near-term focus is really on stabilizing the company, stabilizing it for our coworkers, taking care of products. But when we look at 5 years from now, that's a hard question to answer, because I think, you know, where's the marketplace going to go? Where's the future? Where are consumers' taste trends going to go? But what I can say is, at least in the foreseeable future, is we want to be a company that lives its brand. Back to Dan's comments earlier, that we do good work every day, that we produce wonderful brews, that we respect and care for each other, and that we are models of that process of commune that happens when you enjoy a beer and some food with people that maybe you don't even know them, but you grow new relationships. So whatever that looks like for us is going to be that. And like Ellie said, just to reinforce what she said, we want to focus on doing the things that we do, and being one of our I guess our mantras has been to be smaller, healthier, and stronger. And so all of those things, living our values and really strengthening all the things that we do incredibly well right now, is the long-term aspect of our future. Cool.
Dan, this one is for you. Assuming Modern Times survives until 2023, which we will, it's a good assumption. Do you anticipate making changes to the league and theory membership structure? And to give everyone the disclosure on why Dan's answering this, so me and Leanne are in the marketing department. Dan is our boss, so yes.
We can't hear you, Dan.
I knew I was going to be the first one to do that shit. I knew it. My apologies to everyone for everything. So basically, we're still working on this. But yeah, there will definitely be changes to the structure the next go around. And specifically what we're looking at is really honing in on what makes League in Theory worth buying into in the first place, which is obviously the world-class beer, and it's also the communal experience that's been such a hub over the last few years for everybody. So, you know, as far as changing anything, I would expect to see us leaning more into those two aspects and maybe less into things like included merch and kind of like periphera that are cool, but aren't really the heart and soul of the experience, in order to grow those things in a more meaningful way.
On top of that, with the closure of the locations, do we plan on decreasing the number of members next year?
We don't currently have like a plan to decrease. We don't have any numbers really for next year. What we're doing right now is we're going to be just kind of assessing in real time through the lens of both, you know, providing a good experience for our members in terms of beer, but also looking at how the community is interacting with one another and whether or not we feel the current size is fostering, you know, good values, good community, and, you know, whether that looks like expanding or contracting. You know, we'll be kind of assessing that as we go forward. So I'm sorry, that's super nebulous, but that's, you know, as specific as I can really get right now.
All right, this next one is a dual question for Ellie and Jen. As the company moves into its next phase, what other brewery most closely resembles Modern Times' idealized future?
Just to say, whoever asked this question, this is actually my favorite question. So kudos to whoever did that. This is a really hard one to answer because, one, my head went immediately to other breweries, because for a lot of us, we have some pretty real challenges, especially in the supply chain. We're experiencing that right now. Many of you have read about the limitations or limits on ordering aluminum. Of course, right now, fuel prices are going up. Sometimes it's harder to get supplies as a small company. So I think when companies can join together that they can do more together by, integrating their resources. So, in my perfect world, it would be a group of smaller breweries who are actually working together. I'm not saying a canarchy model necessarily, but something that's, where you're really helping and allying together. It's going to be a new word, helpfully, on that. But I've shared this with our sales team. When I look at a company that I most like to compete with, it's our friends at Firestone Walker. So I think about them a lot. But then also, we're not just a wholesale brewery. We're a restaurant, and there's other companies that we would love to collaborate with and do more things with. So, when I look to other companies, those are the things, when you think about the brands that you want to buy from, those are, I think about values aligned companies. But Ellie, I don't know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that everyone on the call is an incredibly dynamic person who contributes to what Modern Times is and what we put out. And part of that is our interest beyond craft beer and even beyond what we put in the online sales. We have our kitchens, we have guest beverages, we have non-alcoholic beverage. There's so many facets that make up the experience that we provide. And so when we look to what I like to call, or who are my crushes, it's not just necessarily other breweries. I mean, I think about San Diego and being so distinctly SoCal, is even just like Balboa Park as an entity and the experience of being there. Like that is what this brand should feel like, and those can be synonymous. And so it's not just consumables or tangibles.
Cool. The next question right here is for you again, Jen. So the blog post announcing the closure of 4 locations included this line: as new leadership has stepped up and taken the helm over the last few weeks, it became clear that the financial state of the company that we are now being tasked with directing is not just unsustainable, but in immediate and unavoidable peril. However, your subsequent interview with Good Beer Hunting revealed that you had been on the board since July and interim CEO since October. What circumstances led to such an abrupt closure process after having access to the full financial state of the company for months?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, because I think we had our first full board meeting in August, and I don't know how to state this any more strongly, but this company has not felt like a normal board or normal process in any way. There's always been something that's been going on. And so, the first phases of being a board member really were addressing some of the turnover that we had in our executive management. So one of our first goals was to get a CEO on board. So we were running a formal process, recruiting a CEO as a board. We were looking at the financials, but if you've ever been on a board, you look at them pretty high level. Again, they're publicly available on our website. So you're not seeing down to the details. So as I continue to kind of peel apart the onion, if you will, or turn over the rocks, I just got exposure to more and more information. And so getting to see the numbers at a more detailed level and actually getting more eyes on the numbers, I did hire some experts in this field who work with businesses who are struggling to help us. And to help us make better decisions, help us understand the financials even better than we ever did before. So it really has been this process of continuing to open up things. And so I just want to restate that all of the leaders that we get to work with, or that I get to work with, they also had not seen a lot of that information at that detailed level. So for me, it's also been a process of opening up information to other people inside the company. I've never seen a group of people who wants to budget so badly, which is just feels weird to say, no matter how many times I say it. So I think we would love to get to the process of feeling more like a normal business and to stabilize at some point. But it really has been this process of just continuing to learn and have more eyes on it, get more clarity over this time. So I wouldn't say that as a board member, you ever really have the level of full detail that you need to as time. And also as people left, it enabled like more clarity and more perspectives to come into those companies. So it has been more of a process than just this kind of all of a sudden revealing all of the information at one point.
All right, another question for you, Jen. For many longtime members, the relationships we've built with employees are the foundation of our loyalty to the brewery. While the closure of locations was no doubt a necessity, how do we rectify the way employees were treated during the process? The fact that your background in HR and expertise in fostering company culture were cited as key points when you were hired as CEO.
Yes, that question is a hard question, and it is something I think about every day. You know, I wake up in the morning, especially when it became really apparent that we were going to have to lay off people. It was really hard. This is not the kind of work that I wanted to do. We did it very fast because we wanted to make sure and preserve payroll and jobs for other people. It was an imperfect process, and it was painful. And you know, I don't know any other way to say it is, you know, I wish there was a perfect situation where we didn't even have to do it at all. It was just a lot. And so I think, you know, the question is a fair question, and it's one that I think about all the time of, you know, how do I evaluate my own performance? What did we learn from that situation? You know, I question myself on how could it have been different, but I think the reality is we ended up in a situation where we had to make a decision really fast, and we tried to do the best that we could in a really hard situation. And I'll acknowledge that it wasn't perfect, and I feel pretty rotten about people, you know, that we hurt along the way, because we had so many good, amazing coworkers, and they're good people. So I know that's kind of a non-answer, but you know, I wish we wouldn't have had to do it at all.
On a personal note, Jen, you are one of the kindest and most thoughtful people I've ever worked for. So I just want to say thank you for all you do. You know, kind of cut through with some nice stuff here.
Well, I appreciate that. And but it's, you know, it definitely feels unkind when you're sitting down with people telling them they don't have a job and that their jobs are going to go away within a week. You know, and it's what I can do now, though, is try to get it right going forward. We're still working in an imperfect situation. I wish that would have cured everything for us, but it didn't. So we have a lot of work to do, and just trying to do the best that we can on any given day is what I think we're all trying to do now.
Right, going back to Daniel Reed over here. So a new direction and strategy for the company has been referenced, but the only major details revealed are a change in distribution footprint and a brand identity that's fun, active, and joyful. Can you expand on what that means for production plans and what customers should expect to see the brewery focusing on?
I like that I get to talk about fun, joyful after that last question. We really are taking these in the order they were asked. Yeah, I mean, I think when we're talking about fun, active, and joyful, a lot of where that's coming from is that, you know, we as a company are as excited as anyone to kind of get back to our favorite things about craft beer and coffee, which are really those like joyful community expressions that make the whole, you know, not just being a customer, but working in the industry, they kind of make that worthwhile and create that wonderful sense of community. So, you know, it's something that we very much want to foster going forward. And when we talk about becoming smaller and smarter and more agile, you know, a lot of the energy that we're redirecting is going to go into that customer experience. So when we're using words like fun and active and joyful, I think we are talking about how we want our customers to feel even more than how we want the brand to you know, be as a vibe. As far as what we're focusing on, you know, I think we want to focus on what we do best, which is making world-class beer and world-class coffee. And, you know, I think in the short term, at least that's going to mean dialing down the frequency of releases in favor of making sure that everything that we release is very intentional and contains everything that we're capable of. Because we have some really, really incredible people who are on the production end of this stuff. So, and that's, you know, something that we've retained throughout this entire process. And I think it's something that focusing on is going to really, you know, benefit us as a company. The other thing that I think you're going to see us focusing on more is giving you a better view into the company itself and introducing you a lot more to the people who are creating the beer and creating the customer experience in our tasting rooms, and, you know, really introducing people to our customers on a personal level, because that's something that the company kind of avoided in the past. And I think, you know, is something that, first of all, our employees deserve that recognition and that exposure if it's something that they enjoy. And it's also just nice as a customer to know who's making the stuff that you're drinking. And that's something that we've kind of lacked up until now. So I think that's something that our customers can expect to see going forward as well.
In order to throw a curveball at everyone in the room and keep everyone uncomfortable, I'm going to pass the next question off to my close associate and friend, Leanne O'Neill.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. You've done great so far. So the next question is for Dani. Is shipping to other states, specifically Texas, on the table in the near future? And what about the long term? And I believe this is referring to direct to consumer shipping.
Yeah, we are unfortunately just entangled in a 3-tier system. Legally, there are just so many hurdles to a lot of this. We are offering some solutions in Texas by increasing our kind of stronghold in the distributor side of things. So we're going to hire another person in a different area to help increase, you know, what's available down there. There's a lot of laws that people aren't aware of in Texas, that we have to register every single thing we send in a timely manner, along with federal. There's also the Texas regulations. It's just a bit of a slow moving animal. So I hope to be sending better options down there, more one-offs, you know, things that people want to see, a lot more specialty items, and also increasing the frequency and the freshness of where you see our beer. But unfortunately, for direct to consumer shipping, we are still just under the same, you know, problems that we are finding with trying to find a solution for Oregon. So unless some laws change in the near future, I mean, maybe we'll find a loophole. I hope we do. It would be great, but no.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna skip a question and move that one to the very end. So the next question is for Stephen. What happened to the velvet paintings from the $1,500 gift card last year? Mine was supposed to go to North Park, so theoretically it can still be put up. Can we at least have them if MT is not planning to put them up?
So the velvet portraits are actually just not finished yet, and the whole plan was to wait for them all to be finished to put them up. I know that the person who was doing them, there are 20 remaining, has just started work on those. So, you know, however long 20 extra portraits take. There's been some concern from people who are at the locations that have now closed on, you know, now we can't put up their portrait there. And for those people, please reach out to league@moderntimesbeer.com and we will ship that to you when it's ready if you pay for the shipping for it. But again, I don't know if yours is ready yet. So email us, send me the picture you used. I can send it to our team. We'll see. The ones that have come in so far, though, look amazing. They're super baller pictures.
Yeah, they're really great. I think, Stephen, you had put some on the Facebook page as we got them. So they have been getting painted. So the next question for Dan, will there be any product development shifts moving forward as the business gets right-sized? For example, changes in release frequency, prioritization of beer styles, adjustment in relationship between year-round, seasonal, special release, etc. You're muted.
I got this. I got this, you guys. The short answer is yes. As to what that means, I mean, I think I kind of addressed this in the last question a bit. You know, we'll be honing in on less frequency and more quality a little bit. We're also going to be focusing in on diversifying our year-round beer calendar a little bit more, which I think you can see with this year's releases a bit. I think that was kind of the first step toward that. You know, where we have a Marzen coming out, we have a fudgy stout coming out, which I'm psyched about. But I think you're going to see that trend continue into next year. We're offering, you know, a bit more diversity of styles, definitely less releasing 2 wide distro hazy beers at one time, and a little bit more breaking up that schedule with stuff that's going to hit a more diverse set of interests. And just, you know, expose people to more beer styles that we love and that our brewers are psyched on making as well.
Awesome, thank you. So the next question is for Jen. How close is MT to possibly being bought out by another entity?
Well, there's no offers on the table, and so there's nothing really right now. Obviously, because I came out and said it publicly that we are looking for buyers or investors. Several parties have brought forward their interest, but we don't have any information on perceived value or offers, or for those of you who do this kind of work, LOIs, nothing like that is on the table. So I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know.
All right. So Andrew or Stephen, is there enough beer currently aging to fulfill membership obligations for the year if something does happen to Modern Times as a whole?
Andrew, I think I can take this one. Yes.
That was great. Yeah, we have a lot of beer in barrels, so we're set on that. Okay, so then the next question is for Andrew. There have been more non-adjuncted barrel-aged beers recently than traditionally. Is that due to issues with sourcing / paying for adjuncts, or because there is a general trend towards non-adjunct beers?
I want to say first off that Jen has never Slacked, texted, called me and said stop buying vanilla. So we have plenty of adjuncts that we're purchasing. We have seen some. Actually, I'll get into that in the next one. But the non-adjuncted barrel-aged beers, we're so excited. The league has asked for these. The consumers have asked for these. Stephen Michael has asked for these, and we've been able to release a lot more based just on how much more beer is in the barrels. 2020 was kind of crazy with the amount of beer that we were releasing. You know, the Extraordinary Times releases. So we really had to refill those beers or refill those barrels, and we did. We got a ton of barrels in, specialty barrels, you know, everything from Blanton's to Old Fitz barrels, all sorts of stuff. And we have just been slowly releasing those when they mature. So we have the best beer we've ever had and the most diverse amount of different bases that we've ever had in those barrels. So it's just been, yeah, an opportunity really to release some of the cool non-adjuncted BA beers. In fact, the next release, we were going to do it as a chocolate beer, and then Stephen and I talked and we decided to just do like a non-adjuncted base version of it. And I think it's going to be really good. We'll save that for the league tasting.
I'm just excited that you said Blanton's, Andrew. Everyone loves Blanton's, you know?
Yeah, what we were trying to think of a good name for that, for Blanton's, and I think we have one.
Can we say it?
Yeah, I did see the vanilla on the Instagram page too when that was coming out, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of vanilla, and yeah, so we still get to play around with stuff, have a lot of cool things coming out, and those little horsey barrels, just keep an eye out for.
Nice.
It's a great name. All right, this one's also for Andrew. Will there be a delay in more of the regular beers being released, and why? For example, Monster Tones is usually in March, but it has apparently been delayed until May.
Yeah, so there hasn't been a delay in regular beers very much. So we haven't had a situation come up where we had to delay anything for any reasons out of the ordinary. Monster Tones, when we were looking at the 2022 release schedule, we have to double barrel that beer. So Monster Tones is double barreled from bourbon into maple syrup, ex-bourbon maple syrup barrels that we make. So that beer wasn't going to be ready, wasn't going to have enough time in March. So we delayed that one until May without knowing about any of these other things that were happening. So there shouldn't be any more delays. We have our barrel plans all scheduled and everything for beers, and we're just releasing things when they're ready and when we feel like they're the best. And it's been better this year than almost any other year for hitting those timelines right on the mark. So yeah.
I will say, bringing up the Monster Tones delay thing, Andrew, a lot of times people are trying to put 2 and 2 together and think there is some conspiracy behind it, but it really is 99.99% of the time the most straightforward answer can be, you know?
Yeah, I think the other thing is we have been hit with some raw material stuff. And I just wanted to point this out, is that the only delays that we've run into is because of raw material supply chain issues that the entire world is dealing with right now, whether it be bottles or labels or boxes or something like that. And this team that is in special projects right now, and the production team, just works constantly to get these things figured out. And I just have to give them a shout out, because we could have easily had a couple delays or canceled some things or moved some things around, and we hadn't. We hit some stuff right on the last minute. So I'm just really proud of everyone and the work they're doing. And I really hope we can do league tastings again soon, and preview tastings, and have you guys chat with, or have the league chat with this team again, and get some face-to-face for the people who are making the beer.
Great, thank you. So then the next question is for Stephen. Will other theory-only beers be opened up to league, or will they remain theory? For example, Coconut S'mores was previously a theory-only release for 2 years, and if we do plan on doing that, why?
The short answer is who knows at this point. The way that went about was, yes, MP Coconut S'mores was a theory-only beer last year, and also I think 2 years ago you had the suggestion of Mass Maple Affogato Edition. That was also a theory beer and got moved to a league beer the next year. While you've also seen Monster Tones has never been moved to a league beer. Basically, when we go and decide the league and theory list for the following year, sometimes we move things down just because, like, we had an extra awesome beer we can make for theory that we're like, whoa, this has to be a theory only beer. We only have so many barrels. Let's throw this in. And, everyone wants MP Coconut S'mores. We have the production capability to give that to the league. So, yeah, who knows? But plenty of good stuff to go around.
Sweet. This one is for Ellie. And also, I know, Stephen, you might know the answer to this, but can pickup windows at the remaining locations be extended to 60 or 90 days instead of the current 30?
Leanne, since you asked here, yeah, let's extend it to 60. That sounds good. Ellie, do you have anything, any conditions based upon that you would ask of the members if we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say if you made it this far in this video, then you get this advance notice that you can have 60 days to pick up your product. Yeah, there are some things that we would ask via email, but we'll just take this time to ask directly, and just let you know that with that 60-day extension, in the same way that it is now, it is a hard 60 days. So after those 60 days, those items are not available for fulfillment. With all of the inventory that we have rotating, we're enabled to store those things beyond that date. And then another really big important one is to make reservations. I think there's a small percentage of you folks that do make reservations through the Simply Book platform. If you don't know how, you can check back in your email, or you can email the league, or you can email any of the direct league sites, or heck, ask a Mini Mart member. I'm sure they'd be glad to tell you. It's really critical that you make those pickup reservations, especially if you proxy or you have proxies. If you proxy for multiple people, especially so. Not only does it help us prepare and ensure accuracy, especially if those of you are traveling from long distances to come pick up. The last thing anybody wants to do is buy another plane ticket to come get a bottle of Monster Tones. It can ensure pickup accuracy, number one. And number two, with so many league members getting funneled down to our 4 Southern California properties, that means we have to hold back more product in our warehouses that we're not keeping on site. And so the more you can make advance notice, the more we can compare that pickup demand to what we have in-house and ensure things are coming up on deliveries. Because I'm sure those of you who remember the 2019 days of trying to pick up at the dojo with such limited capacity, Stephen was driving up a van in the middle of the day on a Saturday to re-up us because, back then we didn't have that capability. So really, please do that. And if you're unsure, or if you feel like maybe you're making reservations the wrong way, again, you can hit up a Mini Mart person. All of the property specific league emails that our GMs and AGMs respond to, those are attached on the Simply Book platform. Or of course, just emailing the main league inbox, and they'll route you where you want to go. And then, last thing is just reiterating the proxy point. I'm sure many of you are negotiating new proxies in new areas. I'm sure there's guns for hire on the Facebook to make the rounds. So please make sure those proxies are really clearly labeled and that everybody really knows what they're picking up, and make sure that your proxy knows exactly what they should be picking up, because we hate fulfilling orders and then getting emails after the fact where it's like, you didn't give my proxy this, and the proxy didn't even think to ask. So the better you guys communicate with us, the more accurate that we can be, and the more seamless fulfillment can be.
Ellie, as my dog growls in the background, excuse the weird sound, we should do a simple method like every quarter we choose someone or 5 people who made reservations and offer them bottles of Monster Tones or something like that. That's a good one. We're brainstorming right here, so that'd be cool.
More mystery sets.
Also, we are about running out of time here. We have to have a hard 3:30 out because a lot of us have to go to another meeting. So we should fire off maybe one more question. How about
we can get through a couple in 5 minutes. Okay. Let's just do them real quick.
What happened to all the art from the former locations, Ellie? Tell us.
Some of it was very fragile and didn't even make it off the wall. Others will live a second life in a new location, and others may even have the opportunity to be auctioned to you folks, if you're interested.
Okay, Ellie, again, how likely is it that other locations will be closed, in particular Anaheim?
0.
Good, like that. With COVID mandates lifting, assuming no Rho, Sigma, Tau, Danzel fraternity, will there be any more festivals at any point in the near future, like the summer perhaps?
Big frat guy. I have the shirts and everything, whatever you do in those. Yeah, we'll definitely have more festivals, not this summer. Right now, we definitely need to focus in. We have a lot of internal work to do. So it's going to be a little bit further down the line. But, I think you've heard me, I've been a bit of a broken record about, having those community experiences. That's a huge part of that. I think one of the things you can expect from us is, whereas in the past, we had pretty much a festival every quarter, we might be dialing back the frequency and focusing on making, say, like our anniversary party, something that's like really spectacular, and doing like 1 or 2 of those a year, interspersed with more tasting room centric events. So yes, it's definitely something that we would love to bring back as soon as possible, and will bring back as soon as possible.
There is one remaining question that we did not get to that I saved for the end. So to end on a very light note, what recent beer are you the most proud of? This one we did have slated for Andrew, but if anyone has a beer that they're proud of lately.
I'll just start real quick, and then we can go around. But I think there's a lot of beers. I was struggling how to answer this. There's been a couple batches of just Orderville and Dingo Magic that have blown me away, which is really special because it means that like the cellar people, the brewers, really put a lot of thought and detail oriented work into those particular batches, and just it came out really nice. But I think my favorite beers that we've released recently are Neutron Symphony, our wheat wine, which is something kind of off the wall and not something that we expected to make, and it just came out incredibly well. Really interesting beer. And Silent Opera, which is the Vienna lager made from Portland. So a little bit of a swan song from Portland, and absolutely beautiful lager that they made up there. But I would love to hear everyone else's beers.
I'm going to hop on that Silent Opera bandwagon so I can also do a shameless plug, because I absolutely love Silent Opera. It's incredibly delicious. And with the closures, we also discovered quite a bit of excess cases of Silent Opera. And so we're passing the gift right along to you all. And this week, with the launch of some incredible, delicious lager that I'm very excited to taste, including Gin Ice, which is one of my favorite ices that we make. If you buy any of the new lagers, you have the opportunity to get a 4-pack of Silent Opera at 50% off. Yum! Who doesn't want that?
Oh my gosh, Ellie, that's so great. My favorite beer, Modern Tones Bovine Outline Barrels from December. It was a masterpiece. It was Andrew's magnum opus.
My recent favorite that we had out was Hidden Faces, the porter. I love a porter, and I feel like we should make more of them, especially that
Agree.
one. It was really great.
I'm actually oh, sorry, Dan, go.
No, you first.
Well, no, so I'm gonna say one that's not necessarily like the mystique of the beer, but we have a new release coming out this summer called Hello Grapefruit, and we're trying to figure out how to describe it. So I was walking around the packaging hall in Point Loma, and one of our packagers, his name's Armando. He started with us in December, just fantastic person. I asked him how would he describe it, and you know what he did? He called it. He's like, "It's just a friendly beer." And it was just like, I mean, we work with so many amazing people, and just to hear like, so yeah, Hello Grapefruit this summer, our friendly beer, and think of Armando.
Much better than my thing. I was gonna be like, it's like you're walking down the street and someone throws a grapefruit at your face, you know?
No,
That's
we'll go
distinctly unfriendly. That's not friendly at all. My favorite, you know what, forget it. I just want to say that I am immensely proud of our entire special projects team. Like it's impossible for me to choose a beer, and the reason is because the output is so consistently high level, and I don't think anyone can accurately state how difficult that is especially over the last couple of years, when like the amount of stress, you know, for everyone in this room, but everyone outside in the brewery, like has been so like palpable. And yet like the output has not suffered at all. And if anything, it's gotten better. And like, I honestly don't know how that was achieved, but it's incredibly impressive. And as somebody who knows absolutely nothing about making an incredible beer, like from an actual production standpoint, it's just wildly impressive to me.
Well, Dani and I just got to see 47 on tap. So
yeah, that's where I was going to chime in. It's just something, especially after, you know, the last 2 years, to be able to see all 47 of those beers on draft, and just some amazing revisiting, and some, you know, that we've been cellaring for a while at that account, and just some of the brand new IPAs, you know, as these 47, there's 47 beers. I mean, this place is so small, but as we're seeing them each keg come off the board, that people just enjoy. And for me, Forbidden Chance, every single variant of that is just like home to me. And we had one of those on, and that was just, it was great. I love it. So,
well, that's Phoenix. And I think, you know, we go beyond just where we're at, and so it was fun to see Phoenix and the love that they had there, and the account and the people. It was just amazing.
Phoenix rules. Yeah.
We'll end on Phoenix rules. That's good.
Well, thanks everyone for watching this too, and also for drinking the beers. I mean, this is the thing that's exciting, and what we keep on coming back to is the beer and the coffee. Like the league support is second to none, and really appreciate it, honestly. Thanks.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. All right.
All right, I'm going to end the recording now. Thanks, everybody.